Order 11.
All right, well, this is Wednesday, December 14th, 5:30 PM, the district calendar hearing for the school year 2023-2024. Joy, roll call to order, roll call, please.
Tim Barrett.
Here.
Linda Duncan.
Here.
Tom Fitzer.
Here.
Rob Metzger. Tara Hoying.
Thank you, Joy. All right, presentation of the proposed 2023-2024 district calendar.
Yeah, you have in front of you a proposed calendar for next year already. It mirrors what we're doing this calendar year. We start school on a Wednesday, the 23rd of August, and Christmas break would be from the we get out on the 20th of December, so we have the 21st, and we come back on January 3rd. Our spring break falls at the end of the third quarter for a week, and ultimately we'd be done with school, assuming we'd have no snow days, on the 23rd of May. But there is one built-in snow day in February if needed. But otherwise, that's the calendar. You can see on there we are 39.2 hours above the state minimal of 1,080. We're required as a school district to have that as a minimum. We have 2 hour late starts or a release for any reason. Those hours come off that 39.2 mark, so we don't have to make up days or whatnot. If we're in a major pinch, like we were a few years ago, when we missed 10 days of school, we certainly have a little bit to have some flexibility there with some days if need be. The biggest thing is our contract with our staff. We have a day's contract. So someone, if they ever ask you, well, see, you go above hours, why did the staff work all of those days? Why don't we just cut the school year shorter? We could, but our teachers are under a day's contract, not an hours contract. So it's a little bit like that. Are there any specific questions on here? This calendar matches our friends next door, which we share things with. State law says you can't start any earlier than the 23rd of August. A couple years ago, and it may happen again. This is a leap year calendar next year, I believe. It'll be interesting to see, you know, when the 23rd continues to fall in August. One year, 23rd fell on Friday, and we started on Friday. I know, a football game, so it's our school. So, but if the 23rd falls on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, we'll always start on the Wednesday. If it falls on a Thursday or Friday, we'll have school in that corresponding date.
And it's not a lot different from this current year either.
It
There's not a
almost
lot of,
mirrors it identically. The only things that change are that start date, when Christmas falls, Easter a little bit. You can see Good Friday week, that's a paid holiday. But really, there's not a lot that changes. So, Martin Luther King Day, we celebrate with no school with the kids, but we have a professional development day that day. And again, we've had a built-in snow day for a number of years. And last year, for example, I don't believe we had any snow days. We had that 4-day weekend, which is unusual, but it's nice to have in case we did. Any comments from the public or questions from the board? I'll ask you to approve this in the regular meeting.
all right, if not, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, thank you. Then we can immediately go into.
Yes, I will lead this as our organizational meeting. And I start by reading our mission statement, which is the mission of the WCSD, which is Wilton School District, is to provide an education that encourages continual progress to the improvement of one's abilities, the expansion of one's interests and knowledge, and the growth of one's character. Roll call, Ms. Garrels.
Tim Barrett.
Here.
Linda Duncan.
Here.
Tom Fitzer.
Here.
Rob Metzger. Tara Hoying.
All right, agenda approval. The only thing I'd like to add on here is to allow Mr. Creamer, our transportation director, to be fit in somewhere under the public forum. Letter C, we have a little bit of a timing. We have to have our first 2 public forums done by 6. Mark Moyne from MGA Architects is going to join us to talk about the air conditioning bids that you're going to be looking at tonight. He's going to join us virtually at 6 p.m. So just know that's going to happen as well. But otherwise, I'd like to move Richie Creamer into that public forum window at some point. Nothing else.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second it. Give me a
Joy, did you get that? I have Tom Fisher as the second. not used to
I
be able
get,
to
I get to be,
participate
and I
in
get to be the minute
moved in
approval.
seconds. So moved and seconded, any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Minutes approval, we have two of them to approve, the November 9th meeting, which was our regular meeting, and November 30th meeting, which was our work session. Do that in one motion. Are there any questions on those, or anything you feel needs tweaked? Joy does a good job of taking notes.
Make a motion to accept?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we're gonna go to public forum, and we have the Steperettes here tonight. Coach William Pearl brought some of the girls here, and they had an outstanding run out at state a couple weeks ago, and they're gonna just talk a little bit about it. Coaches, just want to introduce your girls, and maybe a little bit about your routines, or anything in particular you want to share with the board. It's very low key. If you guys could come up here, that'd be great. In my advanced age.
Come on. Oh, yeah.
We're on display.
Yeah. Over here.
Wrestling practice, they're
Right?
multi-sport
Over here, okay.
athletes, absolutely.
Yep.
We got all kinds of girls.
Yes, you do.
We made, a few of them made it anyway. Yes. Almost half. Yeah.
That's good.
So we have Gracie Froman, one of our senior captains, Haley Lilly, as well as our senior captain, Emma Hartman. Rachel, like in your last name. I'm sorry. Thank you. And Kingsport.
Yeah, well, tell us about what were some of the routines you did, and to the music, and anything about the experience. Gosh, you guys were really, really competitive out there. It's one of the best seasons we've had.
Yeah, we haven't placed this high since 2006. So
Yeah.
we are super proud of the girls. They worked very hard for it, especially these girls, as you can tell. She's in wrestling, they're involved in many other things to play. Lots of studio dance, competitive dance, and other things. So we're very proud of how much they put into this year. They earned it.
What were some of our scores, or
We got both of the routines we took. So we took a palm and then we took a kick.
Okay.
So we ended up, they only give top 5 like trophies there. So we ended up later finding out for palm we got 6th place. We were like 2 points away or something like that. It was, yeah, and then
the most fierce in competition.
it's a
so-
lot. And then for kick we got 2nd place. So they worked really hard and we're very, very proud of them.
how many hours would you guess you worked on each routine to get it state ready?
In practice or out of practice?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Both.
that-
I don't know.
that too, so.
Yeah. We had 3 days a week at least. 2 hours a day at least. I mean,
After, yeah,
it just depended on the week and,
probably a couple hundred though.
well, yeah, then we had
I mean,
Saturday.
overall, because we had Saturdays,
We had a couple Saturdays for 4 hours.
early mornings, learning choreography, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of time involved.
I don't know if people can appreciate, that's why I would bring that up, because it's not just show up and do a routine, you have a lot of prep work.
Yeah, and we have the girls that are in other things, so
Yeah.
we're just kind of working around
And the
that.
parents too, the parents have gotten them here with all the dance throughout the years to get them to where they are today too, so. Yeah, it's a whole family commitment.
Oh, goodness. Okay, Olivia Ovison,
No.
Audrey Cummings,
Riley DeRocher.
Lily and Lydia Sugar.
No,
No.
she didn't try out.
CC. I think that's it, right?
We're missing 7, 6, we have 12.
Or
Yes,
Miss
yeah.
Tana, yes.
I did by grade.
I know, I was trying to think of it, right?
Do you have individual competition coming up, or was that part of it too, or how's that?
That was part of it as well. We actually had Gracie and then 2 other girls.
All right.
Yeah.
They did a good job. They didn't place in the top 5, but I think they did a really good job.
And you were at Wells Fargo?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's fun to perform in that big of a.
Yeah.
Yes, the solos were in Hy-Vee Hall.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where they do that. They do some other like routines or like lights and things like that over in Hy-Vee Hall. It's easier to shut that down versus turning
Yeah.
the lights off and well, so.
How many teams do you think competed?
A lot.
A lot.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
No problem. Mr. Specific.
Yes.
It just said there was how many? Yeah. So
That
Iowa
puts
is
in
actually the
perspective
largest
when you're in sixth
competition in
place.
the US.
Well, they
Really
split,
good.
so we didn't get second out of 250. So that was all of the teams that were there. I think like, and they split it up like the vet
You have
division.
small
like-
school. you
I think
have-
there's
Right,
like,
no, but
I think
even
there was
so.
like 12 in our kick or something like that,
Okay.
12 schools, something like that. 10,
Nine in kick and 12 in palm.
okay.
Yeah.
No, that's excellent.
Cool.
That's excellent. Well, what questions from the board members?
I don't really have a question, but just basically a statement, you know, there's been a lot of talk around town about you girls and how well you did and everything. I just want you to know that it's just not the school that thinks about you, it's the community. You represent all of us when you go, and we're really proud of how hard you worked and what you did, so
Yeah.
that's basically.
Thank you.
And they're awesome there too, because they, you know, represent the school very well. They cheer for other teams, they're, you know, nice to other girls, so. we
And these
really-
girls we're so blessed, like, we have such a great group of girls, we don't have any issues or anything like that, everybody gets along so well, so this has been a really great year for us to start coming in and, yeah, every year is like this.
Did anybody get the paper today? There's supposed to be an article in the paper. Okay, I haven't either, but it's supposed to be in there today.
All right,
We
awesome.
shall see.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
It's
Team
a
member.
little separate, it's not Durant.
I just want to say that these coaches were being very resourceful because they don't get top gym time. They get bottom gym time. And they worked really hard to find that time and actually had to go to a different location to practice, so.
Yes,
Good job by you guys.
we're very glad for the Lutheran school.
in their space.
We'll take,
Yeah.
yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you perform at a lot of community events, whether it's Founder's Day or different things too, so definitely
We'll be
represent
there
us
in the
well.
school for Christmas on Tuesday, too.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Monday night, high school, for speaking, too.
They had a really cool routine at Halloween that they did for the elementary school. You could just create it yourselves, right? That was really neat. I think the
It was
kids,
long, it was like a 4-minute
the
routine.
kids really liked it.
They sang along with it, it was cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was well received.
Well, yeah, so we'll be there Tuesday for the kids
Mhm.
and then.
They actually, some of the girls actually taught the teachers, the teacherettes.
Yep.
They
Teacherettes.
taught them
Yeah.
their
Okay.
routine that they'll be performing too. So
That'll be interesting to
Yeah.
watch. I can't wait.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, so they choreograph all their own routines except for the state routines.
We did
Those
hire,
are the only
we
two
hired
that
that
they
out.
know.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
yeah, they're very talented. so.
We sure appreciate you coming tonight. We're all proud of you.
We appreciate the recognition. Yes, we do. We are proud.
We don't have to stick around. You don't want to. We won't be offended.
We're not.
Mrs. Miller, will you follow up with the cast? Speaking of that, I saw on TV that your anniversary is tomorrow night on TV.
Oh, that's tomorrow?
Yeah, I think I saw that on TV the other night, so.
Well, thank you for having us tonight. We're looking at some of the cast of Beauty and the Beast. We have some people who are in, like Callie Langley was, like in our general chorus, she played a villager, and also one of the servants in Be Our Guest. Kirsten Zeiser was one of the, in the script it's called like Lost Fillies, means like kind of like bimbos, like silly girls that like chase after Gaston. They put it in French, you know, to make it seem fancy, but it's, you know, different. Rachel Hunter played Maurice in it. Amber Owen was Chip. Bella Fulton was also one of the Gaston ladies, Lost Filly. Hope Locke was in the chorus. She was a villager and in Be Our Guest, as was Emma Hartman. McKenna Rosenkill was a villager as well. Brianna Coles played Belle, and Jacob Amhoff was the Beast.
They did a wonderful job. It was well attended both nights too.
Yes, yes. So Mrs. Norman obviously is getting ready for her concert tonight, but Mrs. Norman and I worked together to, you know, direct Beauty and the Beast. So we were always at rehearsals with everybody. The other staff members that helped out, our set and a lot of our props were built by Eric Grunder. The artwork was done by the new art teacher, Ryan Benzinger. And then the choreography for the bigger group numbers like Be Our Guest and the Mob Song, the dance that Brianna and Jacob did to the Beauty and the Beast song were all choreographed by Lisa Taylor Quirk. So, let's see. We just had the 2 nights. We started rehearsing in September. These guys auditioned pretty much the first week of school because the company that we rent the materials from, MTI Shows, you only get to have them for a certain amount of time. So when the scripts are delivered, the clock starts basically. And so with that, we had rehearsals 3 nights a week of, just running things and figuring things out because it was a very different experience for these guys. Really out of our cast, only Brianna and Jacob had previously been in a musical. Brianna and Jacob were in Little Shop of Horrors when they were freshmen. And quite frankly, they didn't have big parts because they were freshmen.
I was a homeless drunk guy and Brendan customer number 2.
So we were really working with a lot of people that this was a brand new experience for a lot of them. And so that was a lot of our rehearsal time, was figuring out how to sing and dance at the same time, or where do you go? We also had a lot of our villager people, you probably recognize as being, people who are more like into sports than being in a musical. And so there was a lot of like learning vocabulary, like, looking at music and understanding what that is. Or like, when they were working with Lisa with the choreography, like some of those things aren't inherent to people. So it was a lot of practicing and running the same things over and over again to figure out what to do. Honestly, even with the people who had been in musical, a lot of our cast hadn't been in a play at all. Looking up here, we have a lot of people that they've never done it before, or if they have been in a play before, it hasn't been since junior high. And that was part of the reason why Mrs. Norman and I picked Beauty and the Beast, was because we wanted a play that people would be excited about, and not just in our community, but with our students too, that we would want a musical that everybody would be like, oh, I gotta do this, because we don't get to do them all the time. And so we want to see as many kids from as many different areas that we can get up on stage and give them that opportunity to be in something just this one time for some students, right?
How did you find time to fit everything in? Because so many people are involved in a lot of different things, from sports to stepperettes to all kinds of stuff going on.
Well, I think the first thing is that Mrs. Norman and I had to be okay with the fact that there was never going to be a rehearsal where everybody was there. There was always someone gone. I think our best window was Sunday nights. Sunday nights kind of became the time that we did the things together. And then the Monday night rehearsals and Thursday night rehearsals, became more challenging with, people being involved in club sports and sports here and their studio dance and, just the things that students want to be involved in.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what's amazing. This isn't the only thing they do.
Yes.
It's a lot of backgrounds coming together.
Yes, there was a lot of freshly showered people and people eating. That was a big, there's a lot of wet hair and eating out of Tupperware going on at all points. We rented our costumes from the Quad City Music Guild, so that was a fun trip that some of the students got to make to go see a professional costume shop and what sort of weird things they had in there, and figuring out what we were going to be able to rent. And I think when if you got to see the show, I think that the costumes really were something that made it look at that next level. We also rented the music, so the students had to listen to that with MTI, you had rehearsal tracks until your last month, and so every, 20 seconds, the song would say, rehearsal track, over and over again, because we didn't have the rights to performance tracks, because you have to pay for those again. And that
How
was a
about
big.
the rose? How'd that work? You know, 'cause
So
you have that-
Kelton's in here, the rose was Kelton's problem. So the rose came to us from New York, and the rose, was a weird dome that you had to like click on the base of it, and there were 3 different roses of varying levels of decay, in the petals, and the last rose had a magnetic pedal on it, that Kelton had a remote backstage to turn lights on and off, and then when the rose petal drops at the end when Jacob dies, you turn the magnet off so the magnet would release the petal and it would drop. I missed it every night. Like I heard it fall and never saw it. Everyone was like, oh, the rose fell. I was like, I missed it. Like I knew what was supposed to happen, but I was always like talking to Aiden or looking down, or like I missed it every time. So the other side of that, of course, is that we had great tech help. So Aiden Hewitt ran lights with me, and he actually helped set a bunch of the lights on the new light board. We received that years ago from the Townsends when they redid all the electrical in the theater. Aiden is planning to go into music management, and part of that is the technical aspect of producing. So Aiden learned how to program lights this year. We also had 3 ladies backstage. So Kelton, we had, oh, I'm not gonna say it wrong, Emery and Evelina were backstage every time. And they really had to work hard, and I know you guys understand this, that with the tracks that we decided to go with instead of having a live pit band, because Mrs. Norman and I really wanted to sound like the movie, like when people come to see it, like it wasn't gonna be like squeaky clarinets and like, you know, I think we've all been to those shows, right? Like we wanted to have it be like the movie. And with the tracks, it meant that everything had to be timed, which we didn't really realize till we were doing this, that as the track is running, like each line is a cue, like you have to time it exactly right. So if you see, like my script had like, Brianna has to say this line at 3 minutes and 8 seconds in track 11, because it had to be that precisely timed. And so for our tech crew, there were set changes where they had 45 seconds. Like if you went to the show, the Gaston set changed, like there was 30 seconds on the clock to like get an entire set off, get all of the guys and the tables on stage, because we couldn't stop the track from going on. So that was really, really tough. I think that was the worst part, was that Act 2 was 2 tracks, and like, so if you messed up, you couldn't do anything about it. It just had to keep going. We had a funny moment where Grayson got stuck out. We had a wig that we tried with Jacob's hair, and Grayson, who was Lumiere, got his microphone stuck in Jacob's hair and couldn't get out with his candle hands. He was just like flailing, and we couldn't stop the track because like it just had to keep going. So a lot of our time together was just running it, because we wanted it to be something that everybody would be proud of, and we wanted it to be something that there wasn't like a feeling of scramble or overwhelm when you were actually performing it.
Does the board have any questions? I thought, like I said, it was phenomenal.
I went both nights.
So did Jane. Jane only cried on one night though, so.
She came up to me and said that she cried during my
She
solo.
was crying when she talked to me.
Well, I think it's great to bring such a prominent musical live here to Wilton. Like I said, the 30-year anniversary is on tomorrow night, and so people that were here can like, you know, understand that. And say, well, hey, we have that in Wilton too.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, thank you for coming. Bravo, bravo. I'd love you to get this up. Yeah, they usually rotate plays and musicals. Typically, well, the other thing too is.
Do you want me to stay, Mr. Burnett? Do you
No,
want me to
you
answer
can
that
go
one?
in.
Do you want me to answer that one?
Yeah, hey, yeah.
Okay.
There's no way to answer that.
Perfect, thank you, I'm sorry to ask.
No problem. Okay, what was the question?
I was curious, you had alluded that it's been like, there's a gap of time that
Yes.
people hadn't done it, that was my question. Obviously, it was well received, why weren't we doing it more?
Oh, yeah, okay, so a couple of reasons. One, obviously COVID. Two, musicals cost a lot more than a regular play. So like, you know, Beauty and the Beast was a $3,000 situation to rent the materials and have the royalties to it. So, you know, unfortunately, big name shows, you know, they cost money. Little Shop of Horrors several years ago was slightly less expensive just because it's not a Disney show. But because of the finances, that's what holds us back from doing it every year. It's also a lot more work. You know, it's not something that I can do alone, where on a year where it's a play, it's just me running rehearsals and, you know, taking care of everything. It's not something that I can do by myself. So that's why, you know, Mrs. Norman and I, it's a lot to take on just because you're adding so many more elements to it than just a regular play year. So we try to rotate back and forth, but, you know, in my time here, there isn't a really consistent pattern just because it depends on what's happening at school, staffing situations. You know, Mrs. Norman is in her second year, the woman before her, you know, wasn't here for a super long amount of time, and that makes things difficult because they don't want to dump a musical on a first-year staff member. So,
What would be ideal, every other year?
I mean, if we had infinite money, sure, every other year.
Well,
But,
what I'm saying is, I know $3,000 is a lot, I respect that.
right.
But I know what we bring in at the door covers some of that, but from a district perspective, if we don't, the goal isn't to make money, the goal is to give the kids an experience.
Correct.
And so, don't get me wrong, we don't wanna have a $20,000 production and whatnot.
Yes, please.
However,
You heard it here.
however, if we come up short on a $3,000 to $5,000 production or whatnot,
Right.
I'm comfortable defending that from the board,
Okay,
just based on giving the kids the experience to do it.
okay.
So, but,
And I guess that was
So
the reason that I
ideally-
asked the question, it was that, in essence, right there. If that was the holdup, then that was my,
COVID threw a wrench in it, that's
Yes,
right,
yes.
COVID totally
We
threw
still
it.
had a play the year that we were in masks, but, we did a very small play, and, like, I think our cast was like 13 kids for Almost Maine, and even then, the performance for that was the week that Governor Reynolds announced that only 2 people could come to an event. And so we made nothing
I get it.
on that. And that was really, you know, heartbreaking.
Help me remember on your other musicals you've done, how many times have you had the band actually perform in a pit? I remember that for Oklahoma.
Yeah, we did for Oklahoma, and then for Little Shop of Horrors, we used a combination of drama teachers and students. So like Rachel Hunter, who was just here, was in the pit for Little Shop of Horrors. But like the guitar, the piano, 2 of the guitars were all drama teachers who were friends with Miss T in the elementary because she directed the pit. And Ms. Norman and I talked about using them for Little Shop, but unfortunately 2 of those people are married to each other and they have twins now. We didn't feel comfortable, you know, being like, hey,
But that's an
you spent
additional
less time with your
challenge.
twins. We'd be like,
Well, that's what I was going to point out, that's an additional challenge with the musical.
Oh, yeah.
So, but what I'm suggesting is,
Yes.
I'm not fine arts, you know, expert by any means, but if you have to do it like you did this year with the audio side,
Yeah.
being piped in, if you will,
Right,
I think it was great. But I also know that, you talk about practice and have everything lined up, now you got to have the band involved, the
Yeah.
different people, that adds another
right,
variable.
and, you know, a lot of our, I mean, gosh, I bet it was at least half of our cast is a student in band.
Right.
You know, like, I'll pick on Charlotte Brown because she was the wardrobe in Beauty and the Beast, and she's an excellent musician. Had we had a pit and I, you know, made Charlotte choose, I don't like putting students in a situation where I'm making them choose which thing they want to do as opposed to just giving them the opportunity.
I'm just gonna support you if we don't have a pit for everything and you choose to do it like you did this year.
I mean, and we've done, I think that the tracks have gotten a lot better. I know that we, so Bev Ryder and I did an 80s one a long time ago. It was really not great. Because I think that, especially Disney musicals are gonna have the backing tracks, because what we're dealing with is what any school is dealing with, and that is that you want performers on stage. And a lot of musical music is so difficult to play. You're dealing with weird key signatures and things that, most high school musicians aren't going to be great at. And I think we've all probably sat through a play where you're like, kind of wish that they would have just used the backing tracks instead of listening to like this oboe the whole time. And they were $700. It was a lot of money to drop on those tracks to be able to do it that way.
Yeah, it's worth
But
it.
it was worth it. That's what I'm.
Thank you.
A lot of the thanks goes to the students. You deserve all.
Oh, yes.
There has been an
Yes.
incredible amount of
Yes,
students.
yes,
Yeah, no, there's like a joke about the lack of sleeping.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
say that, not sleeping. Because, we like get done with rehearsal at 9 o'clock, and I'm like wired from,
Yeah.
and the repetition of singing the songs in your head is like,
You wake up in the morning.
all day, every day.
So thank you, Nicole.
Yes,
We appreciate it.
All right.
Mr. Moyne, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right, that's the camera you can see on the tripod over there. Isn't that funky? Bo was saying they don't have, and Bo's obviously very techie, a way to attach that. They have all kinds of mounts, but not one directly to the ceiling. They have one on the side, so that's the best you can do right now.
I love it.
Just a little background. All right, Mark is here to talk about the bids for the HVAC system that we're looking at in junior high wing, and give us an update on where we're at, and also some of the conversations. Andy Crawford's here as well. He's been involved throughout this process, and I'm just going to start by saying that this is again funded and precipitated on money we received during the Recovery Act. So we have to use it by September 24, and we're looking at having this done next summer. But the ultimate goal is to keep coming south from our air conditioning. I joke with Beaver North, the elementary, and keep coming south. But as you can see with this tonight, it costs a lot of money to go full-blown AC with all your infrastructure and whatnot. So, that being said, Mark, do you want to go over the bids with us and kind of what we talked about today and what our plan of attack's going to be?
Yes, so I believe you can see that we received 2 bids. Our low bidder was All Temp Refrigeration. They are out of Cedar Rapids. I checked on them. We have worked with them in the past and had no issues. So everything I saw from them posed no red flags for me. So I was glad to see that. The base bid, our target budget was around $500,000. So we put this into, working with KCL Engineering, knowing that the full scope was probably going to be over. So that's why we have the alternate bid in there also. The base bid included the media center and all the supporting spaces, the 3 middle school classrooms to the east, and the corridor space that's in between those 2 areas, and the vestibule corridor lobby space was included in that base bid. The alternate bid then was the administration offices and the 3 other middle school rooms. So you can see the base bid at $377,731, the alternate bid at $247,229. So base bid is well underneath the allotment of funds that we have, but the alternate does take us over, which is what we kind of anticipated. The original thoughts were that the base bid might be closer to our limit of $500,000, but obviously much farther below that, which is a nice trend we've been seeing. We bid 5 projects now recently, and they've all been 10% or better under budget. So the market's kind of shifting around now, which is a good sign for owners. As everybody knows, prices have been crazy for the last couple of years. So with that, I talked with Joe, and with the extra kind of space we have left with the funds, we talked about maybe shifting some things around, and what we did was I talked to the contractor also about the possibility of picking up the northern 3 middle school classrooms and eliminating the media center and its surrounding areas, and see what we would come up with for a budget for that. And they did a very nice job for us. Basically, in the matter of one day, went and talked to all their subs and suppliers and got revised numbers for this revised scope. And it came back at, they kind of broke it down a little bit differently. Changed, so his base bid from the 377, taking off the media center, drops that down to 286,161, and then adding the northern 3 classrooms, and that all the way between those spaces was another 214,014. So that new scope total is 500,175. So, obviously much right where we kind of want to be with our budget for this. So it would be a matter of discussion if that's how you want to be, because I think the priority was, let's get the classrooms done first now. There might be some funding changes in the future that we could go ahead and get the administration and the media center done at a later date.
And we currently have air conditioned, we have rooftop units for the media center and the central office. So they're still functional. Okay, this was just upgrading it and helping the control system, that was the main thing. But also, when we started this, to see how far we could go. Our priority, I think, has to be the classrooms, given the fact we already have it in here, and already have it in the office. And this would have our entire junior high wing done. I've had this conversation with Bo, Andy. Your thoughts on this? I know we've talked about it, but I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, I just, when we talked earlier, my main goal was to get the air conditioning where we don't have it. So, and I think the kids will benefit from it the most too. And we have it here and we have it over there. I think this is the way to go.
So on the map, the color red and blue, red is your base, and then the northern
Correct.
3 is the blue.
Correct.
Okay, so with the 500, 175, we can do all of it.
Everything that's colored, correct.
Perfect. Okay.
So when they go to approve the bids tonight, Mark, are they just basically approving the company because that company still had the lowest bid?
So what you will do tonight, because of what we're doing, is per Iowa public bidding laws, we will need to approve the base bid as it was published, and then we would turn right around and issue a change order that changes our scope and then our dollar amount. So from the 377,731, we would have a change order for an add of 122,444 to bring us to a new contract amount of 500,175.
Do we need to approve that bid, that change order tonight then as well?
What I would do is approve the base bid contingent upon the execution of the change order for the change in scope of work.
Okay, which one of you is writing that down?
Here it, Rob.
Rob's right behind.
Okay, go slow, Mark.
We'll help you. We'll help you, Rob.
I just want to make sure we do this correctly, that's why we have you on FaceTime.
Yes, yes. Move to approve the base bid contingent upon the execution of a change order for the change in scope of work.
Period?
It's a mouthful, but it's easier than rejecting and rebid.
And what Mark told me today, because we were talking about this, it should be looking to dive into this summer, correct? That's the goal.
Correct, and that's why we want to accept this now and make the changes as opposed to reject it and rebid it, because equipment, while prices are coming down, equipment is still a long lead time. And if we have to reshoot it out to the bidders, now we're in January and probably approving the bid in February, now we may have lost our window to get the equipment on site in time for the summer work.
Makes sense.
Do you guys have any questions for Mark or Andy? The nice part is that it's close to our budget target, and we get 6 classrooms done.
That's better, yeah.
Tommy?
What was the funding? I guess I don't know what the amount.
It was right at $500,000. The only thing I will say is, we have about, Angela's over here.
We have 442,000 left.
So of that 500,000, the ESSER funds, which is that recovery act funding, we'll have used some of our 1-cent sales tax to make the difference.
But not a lot.
Where the cost came in was, and rightfully so, MGA hired them to do this work. We
Right.
originally had around 500,000, but we had to pay to, get it engineered. So, but Angela and I visited today, we're working out in the budget for next year.
Good deal. All right.
Are there any other questions for Mark? Thank you for joining us tonight, Mark.
Yes.
I'm glad this worked out.
Yeah, I am too, and look forward to seeing it done.
Me too.
All right, well, Merry Christmas, and we'll be in touch.
Yes, Merry Christmas to you all also.
All right, good evening, thanks, Mark.
Bye.
All right. Now,
You guys have any other questions for Andy while we have him in the hot seat here in the front row?
Take your shots.
I was joking with Andy, last year we had, I don't remember having any snow days. Joe Bragg, his last few years, he was bombed. Andy's,
I scared it away.
Perfect. Keep doing it.
but no, Andy's doing a good job, and I think one of the challenges Andy's faced this year, just like everybody's faced, is when his people are gone, we don't have subs for the cleaning, and that makes it a real challenge, because we have a lot of key people in these buildings every day, and someone's gone, they've got COVID, or they're sick, and we don't have, someone there, it just makes it tough, so he's been scrambling on that. We've had some staff members step up and work some extra hours, they're teachers. Lori Sabers has been one of them, and they, been willing to chip in and do that stuff too, so. Andy, anything else you want to share with the board on anything that's going on?
I'd say not right now.
All right.
I'm sure I'll be back in front of you person.
I'd like to have our maintenance committee, we typically get together, February, and we kind of plan out what we're gonna do for the summer. Every year, it's at Christmas in July, because we get new funding in July. So we can do a lot of projects, right, post-July. But we have to plan for those projects typically in February, so we get them on the books, get in front of the board, et cetera, et cetera.
Always here.
Yeah.
Pool, real quick. You've been going over, we told them weekly to check it, at least to see what was going on last night. I don't want to say that you're doing something that you're not, kind of thing.
So I actually went over and winterized the pool.
Okay.
So the power is shut off, everything's shut off, water's drained out of everything,
Okay.
boiler systems as well.
Okay.
And now we're just waiting on the next move.
Is there something that we could have you, like once a week, just when you're driving through town or
Yep.
something like that, just stop by, just to double check?
Yep.
Just to make sure things are
Absolutely
going.
can.
yeah, just do a walkthrough.
Just a quick walkthrough, just make sure, we just told them last night that we would hope you would do that, so
Yep.
wanted to ask before.
Okay, I just finished the winterizing just the end of last week. So,
Great, thanks for all your help with that.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Andy. All right, stay healthy.
next summer I'll be busy.
Yes, well, that's how we like it.
Yep, definitely. Thank you.
All right, Richie is here, and we've got a couple bids we've got 2 bids, and I'm gonna ask you to approve one of them later in our action items. And I asked him to come to talk about the 2 bids and what his recommendation is, a little background on where we're at. So Rich, you want to talk about the two band bids that we have?
Yes, so, as you know, when I took over, the vehicles were having issues. We have, the Chevy Uplanders that we're basically replacing, we're attempting to. But I went out and I got a couple of bids, and it was not an easy task. Ford is not making the Transit van at the moment. That, they basically said that they're looking at maybe a year to 2 more years before they start making new ones. So, on a whim, one day I was driving through Muscatine and I happened to see a van out of the corner of my eye, and I shot into Next Gen and talked to him about that one. It is a 20, I have the thing in front of me.
2022.
Yes, 2022.
Oh, 21 there.
21. Like I say, I didn't have the bid in front of me here. Anyway, I kicked its tires, took it for a drive. It's very immaculate. I don't know if you guys have pictures of it up there or not.
We don't have pictures with it, we just got the bid.
Okay. But anyway, I was very impressed with it. It's a one owner, and it has a clean Carfax. So like I say, I took it for a drive, and I asked him to hold it for me until we can get to the school board meeting. So then I also went over to Dan Alpin. I've been working with him for months now, trying to find a vehicle. And everything we were finding was 60,000 plus. And we kept working on it and working on it. And lo and behold, at the last minute, he has a bid here. The vehicle is not on his lot. He would have to go to Minneapolis and get it. So I've not kicked the tires. I don't know what that looks like. I do know the one at Jimmy's is very, very, very immaculate, and it has many, many options on it. But anyway, it's from our other vans, this one is a 12-passenger that I'm looking at. We can utilize 12 passengers if it's driven by a coach. If it's somebody that's going to be driving in a bus capacity, then it has to be driven by somebody with a Class D3 license. But otherwise, the coaches can now drive a 12-passenger. The caveat to that, a 12-passenger van must be a used van in the state of Iowa as well. So that was another, yeah. I'm not kidding you. A 12-passenger is technically considered a school bus. And so I did some research, and if it's used, we can use it as a multi-function vehicle.
But if you bought it new, then it has to be used as a school bus.
Correct.
Okay.
State of Iowa.
Craziness, craziness.
So, anyway, like I say, I really went down and I talked to Jimmy, and he had 52,000 on it, but I seen it on Black Friday, and it was down to that 49.9, whatever, and he was willing to honor that price and hold it for us. So, between the two bids, nothing against Alpin, he's been great, but my recommendation is still to go with the one of Jimmy's, just because I've driven it, I've inspected it, and like I say, I feel very comfortable with that vehicle. There's some warranty options on it that we can look at as well. The different price brackets of it. One was an unlimited plan mileage, unlimited bumper to bumper kind of thing. Currently, we have a van over at Alpin's that we're looking at a transmission in it, and that's looking somewhere around $5,000 to $6,000. The top warranty on that one was like $4,000 and some change.
$4,831, and then they had also given us a 60-month, 150,000-mile warranty. That would be $3,250, and then the 72-month, 150,000 was $3,650. So unlimited is just shy of $800 more to go unlimited time, unlimited miles.
Right, and it
As long as
already
we own
goes.
it.
Yes.
Yes, and as long as we don't change ownership.
Does that have a deductible? A lot of times those extended warranties have a certain deductible.
I asked about that today, because I just called Jimmy this afternoon, and he was gonna get back to me on that. He thinks if there is, it's after like a 5-year time. There's some items that aren't covered, like tires, brakes, things like that, but transmission, it's basically a powertrain, as well as, as long as it's not in a car crash, then things are covered, like if the door breaks, things like that. But it can't be a mechanical wear item, yeah. So.
I mean, it's up to you as a board. I mean, it's like anything, you roll the dice, you know, it's $4,800. It's not often a transmission goes out or powertrain
Right.
or whatnot. It's up to the board on that. It's whatever your personal preference is. I tend to not.
Do you
Personally,
extend a warranty?
Or typically I don't. But
well,
that doesn't mean it's the right thing to do.
and so
So
that's,
I hadn't until all the dash componentry started going electronic and digital. And then like, I mean, one motherboard, you're,
Well, does the
Large
motherboard
dollars.
count?
I didn't look at that.
well, I don't know my extent it is.
Okay.
I don't know if they're the same. I'm just saying that's what like persuaded me to actually buy it in the last.
And I understand that.
And like I say, I was trying to get all this clarification before I came here.
Could we approve the base bid tonight and then come back and ask the board to approve a warranty, or has it gotta be
Yeah.
now?
I would assume so.
Well,
I would say you're in the car dealership. You were a car dealer.
My experience is buying a used vehicle, you gotta get the warranty right there
I would
when you
Okay.
get the vehicle, so no, we wouldn't be able to wait on that.
From your experience, what do you recommend, Angela? I mean, you were in this business for quite a while.
You know, everybody's situation is differently. You know, financially, there's a lot of things you look at. My only concern is just seeing what Richie has gone through since he has started,
It's been a
and the
struggle.
amount of money that we have had to spend fixing things that, I don't know,
I was at least looking at the 72 month is what I was gonna recommend for a warranty, was what I was gonna throw at you, but.
Are we currently at a situation where like, you mentioned that the coach can drive.
Right, so
Are we
I,
currently at a situation where obviously if we can't have a coach drive, that means we have to have a bus driver. Are we, and I know they're short, so, I mean, have we left people behind yet? Are we,
well, it's come close, so as of this week, I lost another trip driver because he's now subbing for a full-time driver in Durant. So essentially what you're left for right now with trip drivers is myself and Bob McNamara. We're down to that. And the other night Durant had to take 3 vans, and then the girls' basketball took the expedition because I had no bus driver. And like I say, over here, we did lose the Chevy Uplanders. So the silver one is now being used as a shop vehicle, if you will. The gold one is toast, it doesn't meet criteria anymore. The blue Fusion doesn't meet criteria anymore, it can only be used for staff. And the current sped Chevy Uplander probably won't pass the next inspection. It was everything I could do to get the door to open for them. So in a perfect world, I would say I need both, but I know money is a tight thing.
Well, my question, back to just full circle, like what Angela was talking about, a lot of these repairs you've had to do, how much would be covered underneath this? Because from what I understand, and it's certainly minimal, this warranty, if it's going to cover the big items, if you have a broken mirror or a broken door or a broken something like that, we still have to cover that anyway, correct?
Correct.
So this is only covering a big ticket item like the tranny or powertrain.
Right.
The transmission costs $5,000 or $6,000.
Right.
And I just don't know what the risk versus reward is, that's all.
Well,
And those are calculated like by an actuary
Yeah.
on a, they know X number of vehicles are not gonna break and they're gonna be okay. I mean, there's a statistical number.
But by getting this, it's not gonna save Richie time on a daily
No.
basis, like, hey, I need to have this
Right.
done, well.
And even then, I still have to take something in.
Oh, definitely.
Well, and to give you another update that I'm waiting on for warranty parts, the FFA vehicle had the death wobble the other day, the Ford death wobble, and they can't get the parts. So,
Oh, that's part of the problem.
yeah, so that vehicle now can't leave town either,
Oh,
so. And the Fusion yesterday threw a check engine light, the blue one that's staff only, so. I'm having and then I had 2 buses throw some check engine lights, I'm having a great day.
That's why I say have some extra money in our Pepple and Save down the road.
yes, we need.
Well, we'll do it.
Mhm.
And like I say, in a perfect world, I'd ask you to buy both. I know that your money is tight, and I also know what I've spent this year, as well as I bought 2 buses. One of the ways that we're swinging what we're doing is, the new bus and the used bus, there was that 35,000 kickback, so that's helping purchase this, so. But anyway, that was some creative, but, like I say, in a perfect world, I'd say buy them both. but-
What's
'cause
the
I am-
mileage and the one that Alpin found?
So,
51,000.
51,000 for his, and Jimmy's was 57 or something,
56.4.
56.
So are we down to one van then? Is that what I'm hearing?
Until I get the transmission put in the one, yes. And I have a blue blue Dodge Caravan over there, but they just told me, the step rats just told me that it made noise too, so it made a clunking noise in the front, so. Like I said, my week's just going great.
We'll get more approved tonight, though, we can get it brought in. And the other thing, the little backstory about these bids with the vans, the only reason Richie was looking outside of, is we try to buy local as much as we can. I mean, I preach that, and I try to live it. Those are the people that are in the yearbook, those are the people that support our local athletic teams, step-rettes, you know, post-prom, outside, they don't. You know, you're not gonna see that from a dealership moving away. So we try to support our local economy, and I pay taxes. That being said, Alpens could not find one, okay?
We put a lot of time into this, so.
And so Richie found one, Jim Greenhoff, former resident here, he works down there, and he agreed to hold it for us. He had somebody that was going to pay more than this, and he said, no, I'll hold it for you guys till you get your December meeting to help you out.
Yeah, that
Well,
was.
Alpens found
somebody
this
come in off the horn.
yesterday. So, yes, they're very close. Yes, he's driven the one at the dealership in Muscatine, but at the same time, he really worked with us, and without, he said he could have turned that van.
Oh, he could have turned it the next day.
Next day, and he actually called us, say, hey, are you sure you're gonna do this? And we said, we have no other bids, this was like 2 weeks, it was right after Thanksgiving. I said, we'll take it from the board, we've got nothing else. Well, then this came in yesterday, and yes, it's a little bit lower, slightly less mileage, and I think given the situation, given where we're at, and as close as they are, that's why we're making the recommendation to go with this.
And again, I appreciate all the work Dan has done for me. I mean, he really
And we
has.
purchased from them solely.
Yeah, and like I say, I'd love to eventually buy two, but I also know what you have for, you know, you've got a lot of decision there. I've spent a lot of money, so.
Will it come full circle? Are there any other questions about the warranty? That's the big question, and maybe you can decide it when we get to that point, but
What do you recommend, the warranty?
I was looking at least the 72-month, but
Okay.
I'm one of the suckers that buys the warranty. It has done me good on one car, and the other car, I never used it, so totally, I'll leave that up to you. I'll work on whatever, but
My main question to Richie was, how long do you think we're gonna keep this? How hard are we gonna drive this? How many miles are we gonna put on this? I mean, if this thing is gonna be run hard and often,
Probably need the warranty.
well, and I tell you, personally, I don't see it more than 10 years, just because of how hard we're gonna run them, because we do put a lot of miles on these vehicles. When you figure we're going to Bellevue and Sigourney and things like that, you know, you're looking at 180, 160 mile trips, and that adds up in a hurry. Just like our school buses, that's where the miles have really racked on. I was looking at the new bus, and we're already at 6,000 miles on it, and it's made just a couple of trips, but 6,000 already, so.
What is like a daily route? I don't even know what a mile.
Daily routes run anywhere from about 35 to 47 miles. So that's been the average.
It's
Tim's
mainly-
route is the longest.
It's mainly the activities
Mm-hmm.
is what gets the miles.
As
It's
well
not
as-
the normal routes.
Right, as well as the shuttles back and forth between Wilton and Durant. Those,
Yep.
those short little runs, that's what get you.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Linda, was there any sessions at the School Board Association about picking warranties?
No, there wasn't.
All
We did-
kinds of
we
student
did-
achievement advice, but
All right,
this is
but
stuff you
Don,
guys
this is the
decide.
nitty gritty. This is what we want to know about. No, they did not.
and I won't throw any numbers out there, but we did get some money back out of the, or going to anyway, get some money back out of the Grady Econo line we let go. And the gold Expedition, we've already let go. And like I say, so far, I'm using the one as a shop vehicle. But if you guys say it's gotta go, it's gotta go.
But we,
Well, but I'm just saying, I'm just using it as a shop vehicle for the time being. And then, like I say, the other sped van probably won't make past the next inspection, so.
And we're getting more and more sped kids all the time.
yeah,
And my goal with that one is to put it in place of what Courtney's currently driving, it being the Chevy, or the Chrysler over there. The Chrysler minivan in place of the Chevy. Words are hard.
What's the Chrysler? I don't know what that is.
It's the Dodge Caravan.
Yeah, Dodge Caravan. I think it's a 2012, right off the top of my head.
So it's real new.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I mean. We kind of let the fleet go a little too far, but it's by nobody's fault. It just happens. It even happened at the city, but the vehicles that we're getting rid of were like 2008, 2007, 2001. So we got our money's worth out of them.
and we do, I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, just to prepare you, I have bus 44 currently at Cedar Rapids getting worked on. It was above my scope. And, yeah, they told me today that there's a few parts you can't get anymore, so.
How old is that one?
That one is it was the first propane bus in the state of Iowa, so I want to say it's a 2007. So, we were the first ones, so. And without looking it up, I can't really tell you the exact, but it's getting up there. But I still have bus 41, 42 before 44, so I'm really trying to get that one to, but 41's in immaculate shape. It's a 2003, and it's in immaculate shape. That's the one that we put an engine in while Ryan was here, between him, Tim, and I. That one runs immaculate. It's old, but it runs. It's not rusted out. 42 is starting to show some rust, and the oil pan needed replaced and different things like that because it had rusted out. But I think I can bring that one back and get us a couple more years out of it, so. But 44 will probably be my next outdoor bus.
All right,
Any other questions, concerns? I'll shut it.
thank you for coming.
No, thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. All right, now we're at the point where we're going to elect a board president and a vice president for this next year. So, that being said, I will take nominations from the floor for board president. Are there any nominations from the floor? Are there any other nominations? Because that's how it works, you know.
It is how it
No.
works. No.
That's
Oh,
Okay, all right, well, I know that's where we're headed.
I was trying to help you.
Okay, I appreciate it. I can do all that help I can do. All right, nominations cease. All those that vote for Linda indicate by saying aye. Linda's unanimously selected as president, no election fraud here. Linda, you know how to take over for the vice
I
president.
get to do, vice president. Do I have any nominations?
I'll nominate Tara.
I'll second.
There you go.
Are there? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, that's done. Thank you, Tara. All right.
Congratulations on
Yes.
that. To have you back, so.
We don't like change, really. We just like to keep.
We couldn't move seats.
Oh, no, we have to, we're creatures of habit. Look, we're all right, so we're gonna first adopt the rules of procedure. We always do Robert's Rules of Order.
Got this, Linda.
So, right, we need
Yeah,
a motion to
motion
approve
second to
that.
approve.
Move to adopt Robert's Rules of Order.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. All right, we're gonna set time, date, and place for regular meetings.
Regular meetings will be, yeah, well, it's always on Wednesdays. We've been doing it on Wednesdays. The regular meetings have been at 5:30 on the second Wednesday of the month and at 5 o'clock for the work session on the fourth Wednesday. If that's okay.
And those times work. Usually the new members, we ask if this is still, because we can always adjust you know, just,
Given my current scenario, yes.
It's okay.
Like,
It
my
may
world's, yeah, I don't know, any
Okay.
day.
We're
right?
flexible.
Like, yeah,
I mean,
I'm loving life right now, but I don't know, like, sustain.
so yes, so we'll set, yeah, date, time, place, just no change then.
Make a motion, to keep things as is.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, we appoint a board secretary. That has been Miss Joy.
Joy, would you like
Do
to
we-
continue working
we-
with Elizabeth?
All right,
Maybe for another 3 years.
another little bit. All right,
Move to appoint Joy as the board secretary.
A second.
all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, we're gonna appoint board treasurer. Angela, would you, all right, good.
I make a motion that Angela be appointed board treasurer.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, we designate official publication, and that is always the, is it Wilton Durant, Wilton Advocate News?
Move to appoint Advocate News as the official publication.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right.
Lynch
Not-
Dallas.
Thank you. Designate legal counsel.
We've used Lynch Dallas for the last number of years. I can recommend we continue with them.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, appoint committees.
These are the 5 committees we've had. I know there's 6 on here because you count the Mustang County Conference Board. But as far as any committee work, the pool boards, handbook committees, or the pool side of things, Goodwill, that's been, and when we've looked at things, we've done the teacher tailgate or any recognition for Teacher Appreciation Week, anything we can do to create goodwill amongst the staff and whatnot. Maintenance committee, we meet every spring to talk, or periodically, if we need to have a discussion over something that needs looked at. There's 2 members on each of these boards. Policies and ad hoc committee, let's say there's a policy that really needs overhauled or looked at. 2 board members will serve on that, myself and whatever group it's affecting. You know, if it affects athletics, Ryan Hetzer will be involved. If it affects the high school, something, Ms. O'Donnell will be involved, or, some teachers. But that's what that policy committee is in place for. And then legislatively, if we do anything legislatively, there's a legislative forum every spring, or if we want to put together something, if we want to reach out to a legislator or attend the Hill Day out in Des Moines, we've done that in years past, not recently, but we have 2 people that serve on that. Typically, each board member serves on 2 committees, and it's worked pretty slick. That Mustang County Conference Board, Rob, you served on that,
So,
and so is Linda. You guys meet once a year. Is it really just to oversee tax rate increases, or what does that involve?
It's kind of the oversight of the assessor's office. So
Okay.
it's how they get things approved budget-wise. So
Is it a once a year meeting?
2 or 3.
Okay.
depends on what's going on.
Yeah.
What I remember
Yeah.
is,
It was a little drama last year.
I remember you contacted me on that.
That's,
Some people didn't
I
like
got
your
that figured
assessment.
out. It was some other stuff within that, yeah. It was a mess, but
because
they got it
there's,
figured out.
because there's school board member, there's a school board member from each board in Muscatine County. Then
City mayors.
mayors were invited.
County
and-
supervisors.
Yeah.
and,
There's somebody,
Was that city council? That's kind of,
there's a big group.
that's an interesting group.
Yes, it is. But anyway, all right.
So anyway, it's up to you on what you want to do.
Tim, will you do pool? Yeah, I think Tim and I are gonna be, because we'll talk about that later, but Tim and I will be on pool. And I was always on Goodwill doing the
Tailgate.
tailgates. So, and Tara, were you there with me? Is that okay? Maintenance.
I have to stay there if possible.
Okay, so Tara's maintenance, we need another maintenance person. Who was before?
I think I'm
So
supposed to
Jeremy.
be, yeah.
Is it
So
Jeremy?
you wanna-
I'm fine with that.
So, okay, then we have policy.
Done
Tim.
that in the past.
Yeah, Rob's good
Okay,
on that.
Rob,
Okay.
Robin, you?
Yeah.
Tim, so then it's Rob and Tom.
On legislative.
Legislative, right?
Yep.
Tim, Linda, Tom.
Just remember, policy and legislative is kind of an ad hoc more, just anything you want.
And then Muscatine County Conference Board. Are
I'm
you
fine
okay,
keeping it
Rob?
if someone wants to, if them fun, they can.
I've done my time. I will pass. And you get the letter then? Did you get the letter? Because I know I used to always get it.
Yeah, they just.
They want to know who it is.
I'll let them know tomorrow.
Okay,
Please, give them the address.
okay, all right,
It just
Kind of
came,
funny
it just
story,
came by an
speaking-
email this year, so.
okay, good.
Speaking of committees, Noah Brown,
Mm-hmm.
still comes in and watches Sister Charlotte, just seen it. Noah, when he was in high school, would come to all the board meetings.
Mhm.
And we designated him as our unofficial sixth school board member, as a high school student.
Mhm.
You know, it was just fun. And Noah's a good kid. Well, I saw him at the ball game that night, and he's back in town. I encouraged him up for school board. He goes, I'm a new school board member, then I gotta serve on the school board too. I don't wanna do that. It was so funny. I'm like, you remember all those meetings. But it was just cute. He's like, then I gotta serve on the school board. Two more for school board. They got me back the first year. Get stuck with that. But I thought that was funny. Come on over.
All right.
Made me laugh.
All right, with that, that's us, we don't have to do anything, we just have to
No.
appoint. All right, so now.
Well, let's move to appoint the committees as
Okay.
stated.
All right. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Now we're good.
All right, now, Angela's been waiting patiently. Business financial function, please.
Let's start with upload number 4, and I don't have a lot to say because there hasn't been too many changes. The taxation funds all look good. We had our November bonuses, so of course that changes the wage and the benefits in the general fund a little bit. So I thought I would mention that. And then we had an expenditure in Fund 34, and like I had said, I'm trying to spend that down to nothing. There's just leftover Townsend Foundation project money that I'm just gonna spend that down so we can close that, so I'm down to 6,300 in that fund. Then upload 5 is the ISP monthly report, and the second semester starts January 17th, and we're sitting at 49.8% of our ISP money used, so that looks just fine. Upload number 6 is our self-insurance financials. Again, everything very consistent there. Upload 7 is the latchkey financials, and we're sitting at just under 55,000. And our change there again was because of the bonus, the payroll change, November bonus. So,
All that now.
yeah. So you'll see that in upload number 8 with vendor totals, with that insurance and bonus payroll was $2,400, which that would normally not be there. So, nutrition fund, as always, is sitting just fine. We just wish, you don't know how, we want to spend that money on different things, but we
So I have a
just can't.
question on that.
Yeah.
I mean, legit, so I worked the concession stand Friday night. And we were the first group, so when we were setting up, somebody asked where the touchscreen, whatever, so if you want to pay with a card, was. And Terry basically said it was too much of a hassle to carry the one, we only have one unit. So it was getting transported back and forth, and then she had to log everything back into it. And I understood her frustration and why she didn't want to do it. My only question was at the end, she was like, I wish we could get a second one because it's only half price because it's like a dummy unit. And there's got to be fun that if everybody takes some out of theirs or whatever, we could probably afford it. And I didn't think of it until later, and then I'm like, that's not.
Because part of the problem is too, going to so many different events now, they accept a card. So I show up and had to go to Joy, because all I have is a $50 bill, so it's like.
Which made sense, a couple people
Or
over.
$100 bill, yeah. So, yeah, but when people are counting on that and they show up and they're getting their kids' food, it's like, oh, you don't have a card during this time, you know what I mean? So are we able to get one some way, somehow?
Is that, I guess that was my question, is that a buy that is considered
Through
acceptable?
that,
Through that
or
fund?
we do it some other way, because.
That's toast, right, that we bought.
We have them at the county fair, I mean, you already said I said, they have one for the Stock Ring Cafe that Terry runs.
I think that's the
Well,
only one we have, and that's the problem. She
was
hasn't,
saying transport it all around.
Oh,
Just
transport.
to-
And where else is it
How
set
many
up
do we
at?
need? I mean, to make it work.
Right,
I think.
right.
I mean, I guess I didn't ask that question. Where does she have to transport it from?
Nutrition.
How much is each one?
I think she said the original one was like 2,000 or 3,000, but I think if you get a second one that links up, it was like $1,500 or something.
Like, get it.
Well, I don't know why we can't, even if we have to pay for it, it's not much fun.
Yeah, because she moves it from the à la carte or.
That's what it
That's
was.
what
That's what it was.
Well, why don't we investigate and make it work?
Yeah.
I'd say if we can't pay it part of nutrition, we can pay for it. So Tommy, that's what we'll do, we'll see if we can do, if we can't pay for it on nutrition or whatnot, we'll find a way.
Well, I mean, and I think Robert brought it up last meeting that that fund's
Well, it's-
large.
yeah.
So what can we do with it? And I guess that was my other question on backward is what generates the growth in that account? Like,
There's federal funding during COVID.
And that's why we can only use it for certain things.
yeah, I
It
get
was pretty
it.
big even before that.
Yeah, it was.
That's
Yes, it
the
was.
first
She did
time.
Right, but it's,
But with nutrition fund, we can't pay for anything as far as maintenance things.
or large equipment,
Yeah.
so that's come out of
And that's why I was curious if this would hit the,
Either way, it's a
I said,
small expense.
That's what I was thinking too.
I think we
can,
can.
we probably still need to go ahead and, that way it can just stay there and be ready to go. And that way we know we always have an option for people who need it.
I agree.
We do. I'll do that for the
It's not gonna get less.
Like when you
No.
go, when you go to Kroger, you can't pay the cash.
yeah, they're cashless,
Yeah,
yeah.
and there's no
You never know which way to go anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't thinking about it, like, oh, we have a card, it'll be fine. I got there and I was like,
And the other question on that, the TVs didn't work, like in the commons area, like for the game, they used to, so like if you signed up as a parent, it wasn't really that big
Yeah,
of
so-
a deal because you could watch it, but they're not playing any longer.
Joy, the other night when we were there, I was asking about that, it wasn't on when you were taking tickets for the Regina game?
yeah, it was.
It
The game?
froze real early. in the
or
game.
did it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I know it worked early, because when I went out
Okay.
to get something to eat, and I
Good.
visited with Joy, and we were watching the game there, so.
There was a little bit of a time, it was kind of a lag.
Right.
That's
It
what-
was working.
But
It worked for, I don't think it made it past the first quarter before it froze.
Okay. Well, I can check with Bo, and I'll check with Bo.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah. It was working, but something may have, who knows?
It's technology.
And
It's great when it works and it's awful
I'll
when it
send Bo an
doesn't.
email right now, while you guys continue this.
Thank you. That's, so you guys just got my Friday night in a concession stand speech. There you go. That was it.
Okay, there's no other questions about that. Upload 11 is the student activity fund. We have a few negative balances, one still being in the musical and drama area. And Joy informed me that we will still be getting our deposit on the scripts, but that probably won't be happening until the end of January. And if we still are in the hole there, of course, we'll just move funds from the general fund to cover that. And then the winter canteen, we've had some rather good concessions lately, so with basketball, wrestling, and everything just starting up, that will go away. And then the greenhouse, that's gonna be taken care of, and I think I mentioned this last month already, that general fund will pick up that $68.47.
I want to give a shout out to FFA. Today I tallied, the regular profit from fruit sales was around $8,800, and then we also received an incentive check from Mintex today for $1,100. We're about $45 shy of making $10,000 this year on that fundraiser.
I feel like the entire process was just,
much better.
I mean, they are, Olivia was in this afternoon, she said, she had one of the students, just kidding with her, yeah, I don't think me and my sister sold enough this year.
Me and sister, oh, I
Oh,
can guess who that is.
Yeah. But she's like, I don't think we sold enough. Yeah, so they did an awesome job this year.
Which, and I kudos to them because like my daughter's a pretty hard one to motivate to like participate in that stuff. And they got her motivated. She actually like went out and did it hard and she was excited to go deliver it. So I don't know what they did different, but kudos to them because it worked.
Well, like I'm looking, they said, you know, if you sell this, there's some rewards as far as like a ski trip or something like that, you know, where the whole chapter can go. So, you know, you work hard, you get rewards in the end.
The greenhouse, speaking of that, I didn't make it to the advisory committee meeting, but I was told that it's not able to be resurrected. Is that everybody else's, because I know Linda had asked about it. And
I think they're gonna come in and do a presentation for you guys
Okay.
in January about what we've had the company who built it come in and give us kind of like, okay, how can we do this? So I think they're preparing for that.
Okay.
We kind of want to walk through that process with you guys. So.
So I think that's another area, like
Oh,
the plant sales is
Oh,
what
we're
we
gonna
talked
have to-
about. I think would be very, very well supported.
Yes.
No, I agree. And having a second teacher will help too. I mean, that's just
Mhm.
they can really conquer, divide and conquer.
Yep.
Okay, upload 13 is our activities driving, and we're just really busy right now, really busy. Bless Richie's heart, he has come up against so many obstacles, and he working his tail off, he's doing a good job. And then the last upload, board bills, upload 14. And I'll just mention Richie again, he was busy. We've got a Department of Ed bill in there for all our busing inspections. That's the second one of the year. And we are going to get our 30 Chromebooks for the elementary, get that taken care of. That was through Invicta. And we finally got the bill on bus 45. We had to have a lot of work done on that, and that's with stalls. So that is in there for the month. And then I will also mention the Treadmill Heroes. We're buying just over $50,000 worth of equipment from Treadmill Heroes, and they needed half of that up front before Joe could place the order. So we already had the Townsend funds for that, so we used that to pay the first half, and the boosters have already given us like a day after we asked for it here last week or so, their half. So once that actually all comes in, the funds are sitting there to pay for that, and that'll be taken care of. And then Fund 40, December is summer, you are familiar, paying for our bonds. That happens in December and in June, so we had some of those to take care of. Other than that, most of our normal bills. So if you have any questions on those, I've got the board, the bills tonight.
Make a motion for the rules.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you much, Angela. We will move on to the administrative reports and
We let Sue go first because 7 o'clock's the band vocal
Oh,
concert
oh,
down
of
at the gym,
course.
so.
I'm getting texts from,
Of course.
it's Mr. O'Shaughnessy's first concert, and he is a nurse rep. So, a few things. I sent out my board report, but I think what I'd like to do is kind of stray from that a little bit. I want to talk a little bit more in depth about master schedule. We have had a committee that began meeting last year to look over the master schedule classes available that we offer here. And looking at numbers, planning ahead for the next, 5 years is kind of what we've been doing. So we've sat down, and I don't even know how many revisions we have been through. But I think the one thing is everybody learned that this is a much harder process than what they thought it was going to be. Because looking at shared staff between junior high and high school, shared classes with Durant, there's a lot of things. And then, and then you just, lunch is sacred time, you can never fiddle with that time. So we have been working very hard at rearranging and especially in the junior high level, eliminating the overabundance of study halls, because we've also collected data to show how many missing assignments there are and how many study halls have made that comparison. And the study halls are not supporting work done. So that needs to change. So with all of this said, also planning that we're going to have more kids coming up. A few things that we've done we now, instead of having all those study hall times, we are trying to fit into the junior high and intervention time, which would be the guided study hall. This teacher would know who's got what out and, just, for lack of, better words, it's kind of like when your mom said, made you sit at the kitchen table and you got it done. We're building that into our schedule because that affects them. It's a bad habit and it just keeps showing up. We also know that our block A3 and B3, which is 7th block, we offer band and choir, and then it takes, about, right now, 75 kids, and then we have a lot of kids not involved. So we have no classes or MCC, which was causing a lot of just traffic issues, who was here, who wasn't, and such. So we've managed to really look at a few things here and plug in some new classes, new opportunities. Having two ed teachers has helped. We've picked up new junior high classes. Ben Goss is going to pick up a junior high business class. Tim Bean's going to pick up a basic coding for junior high, so we can get more kids involved in those things. We also looked at our science progression of our classes, and when Wilton first designed their science progression, we were in line with like the state testing. Well, then the state testing changed, and we did it. And so we're going to flip and go back to offering physical science in 9th grade and more of the earth science in 11th. But to do that, we have to phase it in over time because you can't just make that switch or kids are not going to get it. So we have that planned out. So it's been a lot of hours, meeting 2 to 3 times a week, putting, there's what, 5 of us on it? Our brains, picking through it. And one thing that we definitely have come to realize is currently right now in at least 2 of our science sections, we have over 30 kids. And you can't move in there. Those classrooms aren't very large anyway, and then to try to do any kind of experiment with that many kids, and then knowing that we're going to have more kids coming up, we would like to really add a 4th science teacher. That also opens up our problem and helps us with that A3 and B3 and ability to add more electives in science, which we really don't right now. Just expanding, and really we just, there are areas in life we know are going to still produce jobs when this generation gets up there. Science, computers, health, all those things are going to still be there. And we need to, I think, get ahead of the curve and start planning for that. So that's kind of the big thing I wanted to share with everybody tonight is that we would really like to add a 4th science teacher. We have 4 math teachers, we have 4 language arts, we have 4 social studies. We do, yeah, we share, but still. And again, this science teacher would still be shared between junior high and high school, we just have to. But we would really like that to be discussed and hopefully supported. I'm very excited to roll out. I think we're, as we said today, our committee, we're one nose hair away from really being done. We think we've got it now. And we're going to roll it out to the staff in January when we get back. There'll be a lot of discussion, and it's new. This is different, and we still have block schedule. We're still doing things, but we met one-on-one with teachers and asked them if they'd be willing to change what they teach or add something or work with us on it. Everybody has been awesome. So I'm very excited to see what we're going to be able to do in the future and plans that we're putting in place to actually have just more minutes, educational minutes, more quality educational minutes, I think is this, and more offerings. So things that MCC won't offer, that's what we're trying to create and help our staff do that. So.
And given our budgetary situation with enrollment and where we're at, we just want to keep you in the loop on that. That's my recommendation, and we'd like to advertise this at Christmas and try to move forward with that. Is there any questions that you have for Sue? And I wanted her to come tonight, and I said to her, because I know I mentioned this to you at the work session we were looking at.
Yep.
I go, can you give some specifics to the board so they know how this would look, not just getting prior science?
Yeah. We have the numbers, and we have we have the science classes mapped out. I'm sure I could go through all this, but we mumble jumble probably 2 days. if you've done scheduling, it is a ginormous puzzle piece. But we have been meeting repeatedly for months, and I think we're on it now. I think we've got a big grasp
Great,
of
yes.
what we need to be
Definitely.
working on. I'm hoping, after the first of the year, I can propose a few more changes as well, just in curriculum, maybe some things we could do. Yeah, not, didn't necessarily cost us a dime, right?
That always makes me.
$3.99 works for us, right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Off to the concert.
Thanks.
Thanks, Denise, thank you very much. Bye.
All right, Mrs. Austin. What?
You want to share with the board what you missed tonight, Denise? Just tell
You have to, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
them. No! She missed a church function
On Wednesday night?
Wednesday.
that
It's
involved.
Wednesday night.
Well, I didn't know.
Just tell them,
Quite
Denise.
this long.
Just tell
Is it the Christmas function?
them. Just tell
No.
them. I'm gonna tell them if you.
I know you are.
Then tell us. We're there with you, Denise. We'll tell you.
All right, what you see in front of you is our Leader Me, one of our, like we do all of our academic areas, also Leader Me. We try to find our areas that, through our measurable results, that we're low in. Community service was one. So that was the charge this year, and it will culminate in our Leadership Day, sharing all of our community service projects.
Right.
So today, here's where we are with each grade level, which is just kind of fun. So I brought, because it's fun, an example of what third grade, this has been our most popular one by far. One of our problems that was identified, of course, is substitute teachers, right? So when we asked the kids, we thought we were gonna go kind of more of things they could do to be nice to stuff, right? No.
Goodie
They
bag?
came up with goodie
Wow.
bags, right? So
Aw.
so when a sub works for us the first time in a month, and we'll do it every month. So every month, our regular subs will get these. They get a handwritten note. Kids decided that the apples would get bad, so we have applesauce. We have a granola bar. We have sticky notes in case they need to write the names down or something to tell the teacher, good and bad. And we have some snacks. We have stickers, because that's what everybody wants. Right? When you're in third grade, stickers are very important.
They are.
We have a little motivational, today is your day. They're all different.
Yeah.
And then we have please enjoy and pop on us. So they take this to Clarissa and she gets to send it off. Isn't that fun?
Good job, third grade.
Well, again,
Wow.
the empowering, what Leader in Me has done for us it's been a process. But it has so permeated everything, how they think about things. I mean, even when the kids are standing up here today, our kids are even talking. Just because that's what they're used to doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, isn't that funny?
Mhm.
But you don't know that until you've been, yeah.
Mhm.
So, it's fine. Holiday giving, spreading cheer, that's all kind of together, just stuff we've done to contribute to the community. Winter program, our 5th and 6th grade concert was last night, 3rd and 4th graders did their Grumps of Ring-a-Ding Town performance, which was classic. And then we will hold our holiday program, of which the Stepperettes do a very nice job helping us out. And Mr. Burnett's going to help us out this year. Mr. Burnett,
I read the night before Christmas. I do that every year.
we're going to have the book behind him. Sounds to me like they've got that figured out. So as Mr. Burnett turns the page,
I'm telling you, it's gonna be just rocking.
it's going to be great.
Do we all get to come
The
watch
kids will love it. The kids will love it.
When is it? When is it?
Tuesday.
No live stream.
Live.
Oh, live, ice cream.
Live stream helps
Ice
everybody.
cream works too.
Yeah, the ice cream works too, yeah. We could have done that. This will be a lot better.
Tuesday, what time are you on?
Tuesday when?
10.
Well, I don't know where you are. in the
Jane's
program.
supposed to let me know.
I don't know where you're in the program, because again, the kids designed the program, so we had to convince them that this was gonna be great. So Mr. Burnett's got them.
Well, I will say that they did a great job leading the Veterans Day. Like, that was really neat. That was really good.
Yeah, thanks. They did. It's really been an interesting paradigm shift when you allow them to do the work. They do the work. Now, obviously, we have to provide,
The
you
means.
know, kind of like in the bowling alley, we have to be the bumpers. Because otherwise,
Everything.
we don't have to throw the ball anymore. It's really an interesting thing, but it's been a long time. I mean, you know, it doesn't happen overnight. And it doesn't happen across the board, you know, but in general sense, it's an interesting direction. Music update is also another very interesting thing. Stevie has gone to the PTO and the Fine Arts Guild to get the funding for this modern band workshop that she wants to do with sixth graders from February to the end of April. And it's all those instruments that you see in a band. But she wasn't sure whether what age group and if the kids would enjoy it. So that's why she wanted to rent them first, but still to rent them is quite expensive. So she's got the funding, and so we will rent them because eventually, if it works, she would like to buy them, and then even we could use it for skinnies and on up the food chain. But storage is a little bit of a problem. So we're gonna go one step at a time and see if they like it.
And you know, we build, and there's still never enough room.
Storage is.
We always fill it with,
incredible
and here
issue.
we thought we had lots of
It's easy to
storage.
get more, it's hard to get rid of. Professional person, doesn't matter where you're at.
And then my last thing, most of our professional development has been centered around our new math series and the teachers. It's been great. However, we have a lot of people who don't teach math, so we call them the others. You know, your counselors, the fifth and sixth grade science teacher, fifth and sixth grade reading, yeah.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do with them, this next semester is they were able to choose which book study they're participating in. And, yeah, we always get a lot of bang for our buck for those. And I appreciate their willingness. Mr. Burnett kind of helps us with that. He makes us do book studies, and they're just.
Which is this learning thing.
It's
right?
tiered down, it trickles down, right? Trickle down, Joe, you guys, and then down to your, good job,
Learning's the work.
good job.
Learning is the work. Yeah, so any questions for me?
What did you miss?
I'm gonna tell them if you don't.
Okay, it's communal penance, where you have to go confession. Joe didn't think I needed it, thought I needed to be here.
You do,
I say there's this traveling Catholic priest that goes around and listens to people like Denise confess.
I mean, we're all.
When did they start doing that? I haven't been.
Did Tom go?
What do you think? Yes.
Of course he did. Well.
I can see why Tom wouldn't be there.
Okay, let's move on.
So if any of you want to get your sub license, by the way,
We get a snack.
just know.
Yeah.
Only
You
third
get
grade.
applesauce.
There is, no, third grade did for everybody.
For
It was
everybody.
their leadership, it was their project, their community service
So
project.
all this, okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Austin.
Stick around for a minute.
We,
You don't get to leave yet.
I just, I'm here.
Okay.
Please move on.
Wow.
right.
Here.
Wow. All right, let's move on. Action items, consent agenda number 1.
Just a couple things. First one's a resignation of Dory Smith. You can see her letter. It's until the end of the school year. She's working on FMLA paperwork. I have not seen that yet. Have you, Joy or Angela? To see where we're at, to see if it actually will work. If the FMLA goes through, that will determine when her last day would be and how that would shake down. So, some health issues there. Good news is, by her turning this in now, we can advertise and start getting ready to fill that position for next year. So, that's what that is. Number 3 is our job descriptions. Tommy, we review the job descriptions on a 4-year cycle, and that's why you'll see them some months. We don't have enough job descriptions to do 12 months a year for 4 years, but you'll see them intermittently mixed in. Are there questions under anything on consent agenda number 1?
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda number 2. There's always policy in some form.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of those second readings on there.
Yep.
That's the major majority of them, to be honest.
Oh, memorandum.
Yeah, first one's our employee retirement incentive.
I wanted to say memorandum of agreement, but it kind of came out all jumbly.
Called MOA.
Okay.
But letter A is our employee retirement incentive that we've offered for a number of years for employees that qualify under the guidelines that you see in front of you. They have to be IFRS eligible, which means age 55 and older. They have to have been in the district 15 years, and you can see what the breakdown is. It's really worked well. Number one, it's a thank you and encourages longevity in the district. But secondly, if someone knows they're going to retire, it allows us to have that information by February 1st, so we can start the employment process much earlier. And in today's world, it's really important.
And we have how many eligible? Total?
Four certified,
4 certified, okay.
and I can't remember, I want to say,
I thought you thought maybe 15 total
I think
of
there's,
everybody
I think there's like 11
in the
certified,
whole
or classified.
class that are eligible.
I'll
not
go
all
break that down.
Okay. Just curious. All right.
And if you accept it tonight, the letters are tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds good.
Letter B is our MOA with EICC, which is basically MCC, Mustin Community College. Mustin Community College is a subset of the Eastern Iowa Community College, Black Hawk. There's a couple others too. But MCC is our umbrella here in Eastern Iowa on the southern side of EICC. So that's our annual agreement. No, it's Scott.
In Clinton.
Clinton, Blackhawk's on the other side of the river,
No.
so we're not.
Yeah,
with
Blackhawk's
Blackhawk.
independent.
Yeah, so those are 3?
Yeah.
Clinton,
That's what I thought.
Muscatine, and-
Clinton, Muscatine, and Scott.
Yeah.
Okay. I got something from Blackhawk today, so that made me, that's TMI. First reading of policy 403.1 is the employee physical examinations. Joy, you want to talk about that?
Yes, employee physicals for just the normal work, I don't want to say normal. Most of the workforce is not, it's not mandatory. But our bus drivers, they are required to have physical examinations at least every 2 years, but upon the recommendation of the physician that they go to, or chiropractor, some of them have to have them every year annually. And the district does pay for their physical.
And I'm sure it's a DOT physical, which is slightly
Yes.
different than your
Yes.
standard.
Yes.
Right.
So I guess I should say, standard physicals are not required anymore for most of the school workforce.
Oh, they're a little more like in depth, like,
DOT is?
well, I mean, they,
I haven't had a DOT physical, so
I mean, it's only different in that it's a set standard versus like if you go get a physical from your
yeah, it can be all over.
standard physician,
Right.
you're gonna get the, hey, you know, lose 5 pounds and yada, 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 versus this is very standardized, it's
Yep.
set up by the government, and you have to hit certain param, and it goes like clear to like, if your neck size is a certain size, then
Yes.
you're at risk for sleep apnea, and they may not pass you,
Really?
even though you may have no other health factors, or,
Wow.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
really,
Ann Paulson said that the other day, because she's going for her chauffeur's license for special ed, and she said, yeah, I had to measure my neck, and I said, what? And she said,
They
yes.
implemented that.
they're very concerned about sleep apnea, obviously the only way to fall asleep while driving a commercial motor
Correct.
vehicle. So I understand the logic, I don't know if our measuring tool catches what we were looking for. I don't know if it's right
That's
now,
interesting, though. I've never heard of that. That's
For what we were
really
after.
interesting. Okay,
So that's what that's all about.
all right. And then D, E, F, and G are the second readings from last month. H is the adoption of the calendar as presented. And then letter I, Angela can just talk about briefly. We do this every year. It's our modified supplemental amount for our at-risk dropout prevention budget.
Yeah, I'm not sure which upload that copy of that is.
It should be the 28th.
28. You wanna look at that?
I'm sorry, I just heard seven.
No one's in the phone by house. Actually,
actually, I do need to go to this, nobody's
Every-
there.
So you can enjoy.
If you have that pulled up,
Yes.
28, it just has your district cost per pupil, and then it's just a calculation, that they come up with that amount, that 315,757 for at-risk, and then we have to have 25% of local match. So, and we always want to take, the maximum amount, obviously. So, and then I get the potential dropouts number. Jamie Meyer works with Mark Patterson, and they give me that money, that number, so that's the projection.
So the 43 is what they're projecting?
Yes, that's a projected number.
Basically, I've worked with this in the past too, you'll get your free and reduced numbers, there's like a calculated, there's a formula that you look, that 43 is just a target. It's not like we've got 43 kids individually targeted as saying a dropout potential student. But if you look at free and reduced grades, there's like a formula we use. Yeah.
So then that number, again, because I've never seen it, sorry if I asked bad questions.
Never bad.
The number that you're saying, the 25%, then it has to get matched from where? From the budget?
From us, yeah. That 315 that'll go into that at-risk budget, and we can use that because, like, Jane Owens falls under the at-risk, and Dory, parts of different people's contract fall under that, that's, we need that money to.
Pay for that.
Basically, the state's saying, we'll give you 75% of it, keep it 25%. Does our SRO come out of there too? This is Mike's. In the past,
Todd. Yeah,
Todd.
that,
Mike's next door. Mike Meyer. I know, well, I got two of them.
it used to, but not now. I mean, that's a number that I have to work with, and some of it comes out of it.
Okay, but again, that budget is for a lot of our counseling services, people, outside the classroom. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question.
Make a motion to approve agenda number 2. I'll second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, individual action items, the ban bids, which I think we've already talked about, we just need to make it official, and it's individual, so we'll do number one, the ban bids.
And you have to decide as a board what you're going to do if you're going to do extended warranty. That's the part that you have to decide.
And what is the dollar amount of what
For
Richie?
72 months.
72 months?
I've got that uploaded.
Oh.
It's all right there.
Upload your minutes.
With the bands.
Oh.
Three amounts are listed at the bottom. The 60-month, the 72-month, and then the unlimited.
That might be our blank page.
Next gen.
It must be,
We have
I'm
a
not
blank-
finding it.
We have a blank page at the end, Angela.
Yeah, unless I'm not reading it.
It's the second next gen, there's two next gen uploads. There's one without the warranty, and then it's the second one. And it's just a single page, and they are not on.
No, you're right.
I'm like,
thank you.
Second page.
We're trying to,
So,
we're trying to be. All right,
so if
so,
we look under additional items, it's number 17. The unlimited service
Oh,
contract is 1831. So that's where you see it. Which gives us a bottom dollar amount of $54,995.
okay.
If you accept that.
If, yes. Otherwise, you want to go with the first upload with next gen, and then the total should be 58,864.
I get it.
All right, who wants to take?
So the 72 month isn't really listed out. The only one that's really listed out is the unlimited, correct?
Yes. The
So it would
70
potentially be slightly cheaper if you took a different option. Am I understanding that?
Like 3,800 is what we're just saying.
$26.50
Yeah, it was like $800 different, that's what I recall.
instead of the 48.31.
Does anybody have a strong opinion on
No.
that? I don't know that I do either.
I defer to Richie, I guess.
That's,
For-
that's
I
right.
feel like no, but if he wants it. I'll go.
Right, that's where I'm at, yeah.
And usually that's kind of what we tend to do, who's ever doing
What's
it
his reason?
recommends. Well, you're right, no, we're not gonna. Well, he wants both of them, he wants
Can I have
both
a deferred
vehicles.
reason? No,
Both
I'm just being
vehicles.
smart. You know what? If you don't get it, the training will drop in 2 weeks.
I know, if we
You
do
know
get
That's
it,
how it will work.
we'll never have to use it, and we'll always spend
I mean, it's
money.
insurance, it's all you're buying.
I know.
You're buying insurance.
All right,
All that he's dealt with, I'm.
let's do it, let's do
Do you
it.
want to do the one-year or just the shorter?
72 months, he wanted 70, he recommended 72 months worth. All right. All right,
I'll make a motion that we purchase the van with a 72-month warranty from
Next
Next Gen.
all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. All right, now, HVAC bid.
That's Rob.
Who's getting?
Rob was
So
right away.
I'm getting a motion to approve the base bid from Altem contingent on execution of change order for the change in scope of work.
Perfect. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
That's right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. All right. Informational discussion items, Mr. Burnett.
Have nothing
I
under
see
hirings
nothing.
or maintenance, pool board.
We had our meeting last night.
Yes, we did.
We just let our pool board know what we as a school board decided, and now they need to take it back, the city council to them. And of course, they're not gonna have a meeting until probably the second week in January.
And we're not gonna have a board meeting
We don't have a
until
work
they even
session.
call
And-
us. No, I mean.
Right, we as a pool board, because all we
Till they
have to
get
do is
hold of us.
pay bills, and if we can do that by email, that would be great. But Maggie is looking into if we can get that done by email, just to pay the bills.
I was gonna ask them on.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's kind of hold, but we can email each other and whatever, but that's the only thing we really need to now. Also, since Andy said it's been winterized, but we still need to have some heat. I mean, are we cutting every?
No, that would be.
Keep it above freezing, but just barely.
Okay, so just a little bit. And as far as insurance, we'll probably have to just insure the bill.
Maggie's already taking care of that.
Okay,
She talked about that last night.
Right.
We're whittling away.
right,
You
we're
know,
trying to
$20
get,
here, $30 here, but it's still.
Right.
So.
but,
And we probably have to maintain a pool, we probably have to have 2 people on a pool board until such time that building is,
well, they decide what
Not
the
in our
city,
ownership.
right.
Yeah.
And that was discussed last night too. We would have to dissolve, the pool, yes, but we're not there yet, because obviously, depending on what goes next, if they want to use it, whatever, otherwise, obviously, we would have to demolish it, and we would have to, I think, as a pool board, we would have things that we would have to do. So that's what we talked about, but,
and we would be obligated for 50% for the lawn.
yes, yes, yes. So that's where we're at with that. So it's in their court, but yes, we had a discussion last night. All right, pool board, then, legislative. I don't think there's anything else.
Nothing else to report. We won't have a work session this month since it's over Christmas break. We get out of school a week from yesterday. And that means the first semester's about done. So I know I was visiting with Linda today, and we were just talking about, school board elections and how she's up next November and how you are, Tim, and that blows my mind to think you've already served 3 years, starting your 4th. I mean, it really just goes.
So, obviously, you put in the next regular meeting to BA, because we did
Yep, but it's-
5:30, because we're doing
Yep.
everything what we
Yep.
have done before.
Well, I'm gonna try to get down to the Harrison Music Concert too, so thank you, everyone.
Wait, with that,
Oh,
entertain a motion to adjourn.